Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today I'm going to be talking about Realms of Karador. So the Realms of Karador is my campaign setting, and it's going to be a D&D BECMI campaign. We just completed session 0 yesterday, though I do have 2 of the 5 players which still need to go through that process. They weren't able to make it yesterday. So once they're on board, we're actually planning on launching our first game session next Friday. But the first session 0 was really successful. And this is why I'm doing a recap of it. And this is how I'm going to conduct this video series, is instead of showing gameplay, and having 3-hour long videos, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to recap each of the sessions and then invite the players to come on to the channel and to actually post their comments about, what their impression of the session was, where they would like for it to go, and so I think it's a much more flowing type of way of showing this this campaign progression for the viewers, of the channel, instead of, expecting you to sit through a 2.5 or 3-hour long video. These might be, 20-minute, 30-minute videos, and then you can look at the players' comments and get an idea of how things are going and working throughout, their various adventures. So that's what I'm shooting for. That's what I'm hoping that it really comes out. So what you need to play any of these, campaigns like this, and I'll go to resources next. So these are the 2 basic resources that I'm using. So I have my copy of the basic set. So this is a basic box set, 1983. And so I have the hard copy, but you can also get the PDFs online as well. But you need the Dungeon Master's Guide. You need the Player's Handbook. Now this system, I've done videos on breaking down the system and how it's different from, the basic D&D system of today. This is a very, very different system, and we have 4 out of the 5 new players so far have never played this before. And so that's another reason why I'm really excited about doing this, and that is because, BECMI is a great system, at least up through the Masters. I may not want to include the Immortals in that, and I probably won't do that for the campaign as well. So we're probably just going to go through the first 4 sets, which will bring the characters up to around level 20 or more, just doing that during the course of the campaign. The other thing that you need is you'll need it's very, very useful to get this, and that's the Combat Shield and Mini Adventure. Not that I'm going to use the Mini Adventure, but the Combat Shield itself has a few pages that you really need to have in front of you for this system. And so what I did was I just copied these. I printed them out, and this here, oops, sorry. So we have the characters to hit rolls, you have the combat sequence, you have the order of events in a game turn, you have variable weapon damages, missile fire tables, and armor classes, on this the first page, which is, one of the more your required pages. I'm not going to quite get this whole page on here. So maybe I'll do this. I'm going to just modify this a little bit. Sorry about this. And let's see if we can rotate this and you get a better view. Okay, maybe now we come up and, yeah, now you're starting to get the whole page. Yes, it is unscripted and unchained. So character hit rolls, a primary thing that you need from here. And each of your players should have one of these, just on their side, so they can see it as well as a very quick reference for things. They have the armor class, weapons variable damage. I printed on the next, on the back side of this is the experience levels. This would really, I didn't mean to make these back to back. I meant to have them, 4 separate sheets so I can put them in my my own game screen that I've constructed. So 4 separate panels, but this just has the experience tables for each of the character classes. Remember back in old school basic D&D, clerics, magic users, fighters, and thieves were humans only. Elves, dwarves, and halflings were not only species, but there were also character classes. So if you wanted to play an elf, a dwarf, or a halfling, that's what their character class and role was. All right. So and I've noticed with a lot of younger players, that really strikes them as being strange. That wow, this is because when they were first trying to roll them during our session 0, they were like, all right, I'm going to be a halfling thief. And I was like, no, you're just going to be a halfling if you want to be a halfling. If you want to be a thief, you need to be a human in order to be a thief. But he settled on halfling, so I was, happy about that. Let me just try to fix this. Once again, sorry about that. Here we have the saving throws. So once again, saving throws is broken down by class, and class and levels. So you have fighters, you have clerics, you have thieves, dwarves, elves, halflings, and magic users. And then there's the thieves' abilities table here. You have your ability score, penalties and bonuses listed here, and you have your clerics turning undead table here. So again, another very useful panel for everyone to have access to. Finally, we have the monster hit roll. All right, and so this is for the DM really, and the DM can then look at the monster hit rolls. What do they need? Experience points for defeating monsters. So yes, this is a very, you have to keep track of experience points earned for the characters. Character development and leveling is much slower in D&D, old school D&D, and so which I kind of like, but it does require the players or the GM to really keep track of these things. Otherwise, the players might find that, wow, I'm not really advancing as quickly as I'm used to. So that's probably the biggest challenge for new players is to, you're actually having to tally up everything that you're doing, and you get experience points per gold piece and that kind of thing. So treasure gives probably the most experience in big bulk amounts. Charisma adjustments, evasion table, and the monster's reaction chart. So once again, this is all very good for the DM to have at their disposal. Now, some other things that I've imported into this is that for my game world, I've decided that I am going to use the Hyborian Age gods and deities and demigods for that, along with the their domains. I'm not going to focus very much on alignment, even though there's only 3 alignments in D&D. So they have lawful, they have chaotic, and they have neutral. In this case here, if there's a cleric character, the cleric character is, let's say it's a cleric. The cleric that we have in the group is a cleric of Mitra, and so he is. I'll go to Mitra. Good healing, protection, and sun. And so the cleric character is going to have to commit acts that are either good healing, protecting something, or something related to the sun. But as long as they're doing those 3 or 4 different domains on a fairly regular basis, they will level on time, they will replenish their spells. If they're lacking in doing that, then there may be a chance that they wake up one morning and they don't have access to all of their spells, or maybe none of their spells. And so I think it's a much more interesting way to treat clerics or any, class that's based on the devotion to a deity, to actually show that through very specific acts tied to the domains. And then here's a map of the realms. I actually updated this map a little bit, but that's another resource that I have. Now, what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to lose the camera view, is I'm going to switch over to Roll20 and just go over what some of the things I've done there. And then there'll be a first glance for everybody, including my players, to see some of this other. So here's my Roll20, and here's the 7 realms of Karador. And so I'm just going to jump in, and I'm going to launch the game. And so this is the screen that the characters first came into. And what you can see here is this is the main territory that they're beginning in. They're actually right around this area here. Let's see if I have. So they're right around this area here. And I recently added this annexation here. This was a realm all on its own, but the way the story has panned out, there was a war between Karador and half of this area. The other half wanted to join in. And then these two realms, Darrowfell and Bontaforel, had lost this war, and Karador had ended up annexing all of this particular territory. So that was their first introduction. So now here, and this is something that's really, pretty cool with, with Roll20, is that you just flip a page. So this is actually where they're beginning. They're going to begin right around here, so just outside the capital city, in a refugee camp, because there are still refugees from this very large war, even 3 years later, that are still, moving about and leaving certain territories that they weren't, very happy with. This is going to be their opening scene, so probably for their very first adventure session. So this is a refugee camp, and there will be tents and everything popped around. You can see a few of them here. This might actually be the player character's little encampment, and then there's a central spot, and then all of the refugee tents will be surrounding this general area, and this is the main, like a cookhouse and aid center that can help them. So let's go to our cast of characters. So our cast of characters, Gideon the Scholar, which the players haven't been introduced yet, it's kind of going to be like their guide during the early portions of their adventure. We have Caspin the Halfling, which is played by William. We have Noggin the Dwarf. We still need a magic user, or someone dedicated as a magic user, so we still have these 2 slots open for a magic user and a thief. We have Tyrande the Elf. We have Brother Calder the Cleric. And we have War Turtle, our fighter. All right, and so, these are the players that actually had shown up yesterday, and we had gotten through it. Like I said, with the holidays and everything, not everybody could make it, which we kind of understood. So hopefully the rest will be able to come, on board either today or tomorrow, which is also a holiday. Certainly by sometime early next week, we should all get together and everybody will be ready to roll. Now, with each of these characters, we have their little background, which I'm taking a look at. So any good GM should try to get an idea of, what the characters', motivations are, And so I asked during the session 0 for them each to do this portion of it. So it's a halfling orphan looking for adventure. We have Noggin the dwarf, who he had a strict father, the town butcher. He didn't want to go to a dwarven school, and so he insisted on being the brightest tool in the shed. But he knew that being a butcher's boy was not the career that he wanted, and so he left his home and is searching for adventure. Then we have our elf. All right, she's a young elf woman who is looking to be recognized for being a hero and earning the respect of the community. Her goal in life is to rescue a princess or damsel in distress and danger, and to be rewarded with a kiss or even a hand in marriage from the princess or damsel. All right, so she is very fascinated with magic and her abilities of magical powers, so that she can get from her goddess, and she is like to know more about her goddess. So one thing that I did use was the deities and demigods from Dungeons and Dragons for demi-humans and humanoids and others as well. Brother Caskin, Brother Calder. All right, so he's the son of simple merchants. He's a member of the Temple of Mitra. All right, and he is, basically just looking to go out there and to do, what is needed to help people out. And so he's currently at a crossroads south of Com, helping refugees, which is still moving north from the war. And the future is spread before him. He goes by Brother Calder to the lay people. All right, and then we have War Turtle. Michael War Turtle Smith, former frontline soldier of Karador, discharged from service at the end of the war. And so he is basically breaking out and looking to make a name for himself now as an adventurer. So there we have each of our characters, the players that had showed up, and I am going to close this down and switch back to this view here. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this recap, and I'll add some more information as the other players do come online, and I'll include that a little brief caption from them on the in the comments section, so that you can see what their characters are like and such. And this is once again going to run on Roll20, also using Discord. And as we get more and more comfortable with using both systems, if people want to come in and listen to the Discord, we'll make those sessions available for people to pop in, and they can ask questions and such if they wish to, or we'll see. We'll just see how well this campaign forms, and I'm hoping all of the players, and myself, that we were able to keep this thing going for quite some time, and run these characters all the way up through their careers from level 1 to level in the mid-teens or early 20s would be, phenomenal, I think. And mostly I'm hoping that that these recaps and this really showing off Dungeons & Dragons BECMI is something that brings more players back to some of these older editions of Dungeons & Dragons, which, I think is something that newer players could really develop an appreciation for, how good the game really was 30, 40 years ago. And the reason why it's lasted for so long is the fact that these games were very good games. They were games of their time, and I, understand that view, but but new players can learn old tricks. And so that's the best way I think, I could put it. So once again, thank you for joining. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Share the video out there. Let's get the word out for both D&D BECMI and for Roll20 and Discord and just this this campaign, because I'm really excited about this campaign. I think the 5 players that joined in, they were really excited and getting ready for this, and I think it'll be a fun time. So you'll have a great remainder of the weekend. Stay safe out there, and social distancing and all. Been playing so many more games now due to the social distancing and just online play, and so the silver lining under all of this, is that primarily that you're safe and you're healthy, but also many of us who are on stay-at-home orders can put more time to this hobby that we loved playing. So once again, be safe out there. I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. You all have a great week. Take care.